How are you, Mary? My name is Shagani. I want to look after your car. Nice.
Oh, Kung Fu Cripple wants to look after my car. You know what? Look after my car. It's fine.
You don't say it like that. Yay!
Malangkan, solikan.
Eli, alimeng dengan
Emakukana sonke netswabo. And I fuck just dream. A fog off.
Yes, man. Don't doubt me.
I'm really sorry.
Hey, afake le mali wena mali. Akusheshe man, awukuhlanyisa la man. Hey, phelele leyo mali.
Ungayithathi situ.
Thatha le bag.
Ithatha ngisho la.
Ngiyamcela tu. Ngingayithathi.
Hey wena uthule wena. Uzongihlanyisa.
Uthi ngiyacela Jeposo ngibulala.
Jeposo man, hey wena.
Jeposo ngibulala, ngiyacela tu. Uthi ngiyacela. Ngiyamcela tu. Ngingayithathi. Sisi.
Hey wena uthule wena. Uzongihlanyisa boy.
Jeposo ngibulala, ngiyacela, ngingayithathi. Ngicela tu. Uthi ngiyacela.
Baby, whoa. Dangerous thing.
Ngiyayithanda danger.
J-Boss. J-Boss, besekuhlanganisele J-Boss. Besekuhlanganisele bangkhawatha J-Boss, ufike bangkhawatha. Besekuhlanganisele. J-Boss ukuhlanga J-Boss. Bazombulala. Yakhumula le bari le sithathe imali namhlanje. J-Boss.
Manje KG uyapha singixwaye yethu le.
Lalela lama. Nomuntu lo bazombulala inxa yethu yeso. Asala no.
KG.
Tipo circular. Tipo.
No, no!
You know, South Africans, I was asked the other day, you know, we have issues in South Africa. I say, you know what? I see race every day. I'm not fucking colorblind. I grew up in South Africa. I grew up in this country. I see black people, I see white people, I see colored people, I see Indian people. I see some people, I don't know who they are, what they are. I live with white people, black people. I love white people, black people. But I'm completely fucking prejudiced. You know why? Because South Africans are the most messed up people I know. Black, white, whatever. We love the wrong things, and we hate the things we're supposed to love. We are all messed up. We're the most messed up people that I know. But I wouldn't change us for the world. Because you want to go to other places and you want to see messed up people. At least we've got something special for us. So don't ever censor yourself. I thought Fugard, like one of our greatest playwrights, said never censor yourself. There are a million cheesy Ubuntu stories about a white person. No white people were guilty of apartheid. You know that? Have you ever met a white guy who said, hey, I was to blame? Have you met a white guy like that? Huh? Have you ever met a black guy who doesn't feel sorry for himself? I know I'm black. Huh? We're full of shit, all of us. We got to build something, we got to make something. So when you see a story about, you know, an Indian with no guilt, a colored person who's just trying their best, an evil white guy, such a good black guy that you're surprised he doesn't walk on top of the water, these people don't exist. They don't exist. So if you've got a white person, an Indian person, a colored person, and I'm a Hong Kong, a Chinese in your story, do something with it. Make them all vampires. You know? Make them all sex workers. Put them in hell, and they're all trying to blame each other for why they're there. Think out of the box. Don't think in terms of stereotypes. We are all very mixed up, confused, complex human beings. So as storytellers, it's our obligation to do one thing. And the one thing we do is we serve an audience. Writers must be honest. The thing is, what do we do as writers? It is not for us to masturbate on the page when we write in the screenplay. We do what? We serve audiences with our stories. You want to be self-indulgent, you want to write about your pain and how you suffer. If you want to be self-indulgent, stick to poetry. Go and do a poetry evening, rhyme, bad rhyming couplets, or write shit. And don't expect us, the world, to read your stuff. When you make a film, you're serving an audience. You bring your unique vision and talent and gifts and magic and insights and points of view to that story. But we serve an audience, and the interesting thing about serving an audience, when our dear fearless leader Viva could not get out the door, I gave you a few paint brush strokes of a story beginning. About 50 people, all South Africans, pretty much a decent mix of South Africa, stuck together to their death. We all started to imagine that story, correct? When I asked you who would you imagine being the last person you shag, your mind started to race, didn't it? Now you start to think, what would I do if I was in this situation? You suddenly became an audience to a story. I can carry on with that story, and I don't need to go from A to B to C to D. Why? The audience we serve, and then one of the great teachers, a guy called Robert McKee, and you must read this book, by the way, called Story. It's complicated, but read it, by Robert McKee. It's a great book on screenplay. He says audience intelligence jumps 25 points when you're receiving a story. You tell a little kid a story. What happens with their IQ? It jumps up 25 points. Their emotional intelligence is something else. A great story leapfrogs because it respects your intelligence as an audience member, your IQ, and your emotional intelligence. When you said an interesting thing watching Z's film, as soon as we saw the Kung Fu pictures, I kind of, to quote you, I kind of knew what this was about, and I knew where the film was going. That film, your EQ was respected in that film. Okay, it wasn't like a massively, it was honest, simple, clear. Now, if the audience's IQ is up 25 points and the emotional intelligence is up 50%, what does that mean? That means we as writers, as storytellers, are writing stories for psychic geniuses. Imagine your audience is a psychic genius. And your job, do you have to be a psychic genius to write? No. But you just have to emotionally manipulate a psychic genius. So your story must follow the first rule of creation. In the beginning was the Word, then there was some light, and then the next rule was what? Thou shalt never be boring. And I don't think this world doesn't really work very well, you know. It's never boring though. And as storytellers, we should never be boring. And you're boring when you do not respect your audience intelligence or their IQ. So just bear that in mind. Always know that your job is to psychologically manipulate from 1 second to the next second your audience.